Top of the morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to all the coaches. I raise my tea in your general successful direction. Cheers. All right, Dermot here, the creator and facilitator of the art and science of business building, and welcome to our program. Okay. In this first video, we're going to talk about the difference between serving versus selling. Now, when I first started on my coaching journey, I thought the way to do it was to sell, sell, sell. I had sales experience and I thought, hey, this should be a no-brainer. This will be easy for me to sell people on coaching. And I found that selling didn't work for me. It didn't feel right. It didn't sit well with me. I had sold, appliances and different things in the past years and years ago, 20 odd years ago. But it didn't work for this industry. Now, the reason selling doesn't work for coaching is because it's a service industry. It's not a selling industry. Ask yourself a question. Would you rather sell coaching to someone, or would you rather serve somebody with your coaching? Take a moment to think about that question, because it's important, because most coaches try to sell coaching. They're telling people about coaching. They're telling people about the benefits of it. They're advertising it, transform your life. And it's done very subtly as well in different ways. Now, what we want to do is look at the difference between selling and serving. And as I was thinking about how I would present this to you today, the story of Sherlock Holmes is a great metaphor for this. Think about Sherlock Holmes, right? So somebody comes to Sherlock Holmes's house. They knock on the door, and Sherlock is busy figuring stuff out. And they say, "Oh, Mr. Holmes, I was referred to you to come here, and I need your help." And Sherlock Holmes is kind of like, "I don't really have time. I'm quite busy. I've got a lot of people that I'm working with over here. I don't really have time." Yeah, but Mr. Holmes, you don't understand. I mean, I've got a serious problem going on here, and I need you to help. Now, let's say that Mr. Holmes is not interested in serving this person. And Holmes says, "Look, come back in a couple of weeks. I'll see if I can help you then." And as the person's walking out the door, they turn to Mr. Holmes and they say, "Okay, I understand that, Mr. Holmes, but it was very odd that there was one drop of blood inside the door of my house, and my husband is nowhere to be found. Just one drop of blood." Now, what happens? Holmes turns, "One drop of blood? Oh, come back here. Now sit down. Tell me more about this. Where was the drop? Was it inside the door? Was it outside the door?" Now Holmes becomes curious, just like a coach, right? You don't have to be the answer for people. Be the question. Ask people questions. Don't give them the answers. That's telling. That's not serving. And so now Holmes is very curious. "Oh, tell me more. When did your husband go missing? Okay, what's his name? How old is he? Okay, and was anything moved in the house? Nothing? Now Holmes is sold. Now he's invested. Now he wants to serve this person. Now he wants to figure out what's happened. But Holmes is not trying to sell anything. Now, let's look at selling. So that's serving, being curious, being so curious about, okay, tell me about that. Oh, yeah. Being so curious about what's going on with the human being in front of you that you lose yourself in it. That all you see is, how can I help this person? Now, the word service, the best explanation I've ever heard for service in coaching terms is service. The highest form of service is a paid coaching relationship. And that comes from my coach, Steve Chandler, who ended up actually, I said for a year, but I ended up coaching with Steve for I just finished with him this year. 3 years I coached. I went through his program, his ACS program twice. He's an amazing, amazing person. And he said the highest form of service is a paid relationship. Now that's powerful. I would write that down if I were you. Put it on your wall somewhere. I put it on my wall for I still have it on my wall for many years. And I looked at it because it kept reminding me, Dermot, you don't have to sell coaching, serve. Now, let's look at selling. Now let's look at the opposite side of serving, which is selling, right? Serving is giving, selling is trying to get clients. Where serving is about giving your time, your attention to another human being and seeing how you can help them. Now, selling, let's take the robber, because the robber is a great example of selling. Because what is the robber? He's only in it for the money. He doesn't care about serving anyone. He doesn't care about helping anyone. He's in it for the money. And he'll do anything he can to get that money. His focus is on the money, not on the human being. Sherlock's focus is on the human being, and the money is just an afterthought. The person says, well, Sherlock, are you going to help me? Yes, I'm going to help you. Of course I'm going to help you. How much does it cost? And Sherlock says, well, it'll be $1,000, well, of course, going back to the 1600s, it was probably like $100 a day or something, $100 a day for however long this is going to take. So when you look at selling versus serving, the robber is only interested in the money. He's only interested in getting. He's only interested in serving himself. Where Sherlock Holmes is interested in serving the client. And I think that's the clearest way that I could give you that example. Now, another way of looking at it is simply client-focused versus me-focused. When you are client-centered, when you're focused on serving the client, yes, you have a coaching fee. Of course, you have a coaching package. You have a rate that you charge. Absolutely. That's all good. But your focus is on serving first. And when you serve someone, as Steve used to say, Dermot, serve first, and the selling will take care of itself. If you give someone an experience of coaching, which we're going to talk about in the next lesson, that does the selling. So the highest form of service is a paid coaching relationship. So a question for you as we end our first session. How do you want to serve people in your business? What's your it's a really good question. What is your definition of service? How do you want to show up with another human being in a coaching conversation? How do you want to give your time and your attention to another human being in a way that serves them? What's the definition of service for you? I would encourage you after this I was going to say tape, but that was 1980s. After this recording, sit down for a couple of minutes and think about what's your definition of service. Mine has always been the highest form of service is a paid coaching relationship. But what would that be for you? Take a few minutes to think about it. Now, as your homework resource, down below is a link to an audio, and it's from Melissa Ford, who wrote a great book on service. And you can look her up, go to any of the social media, Melissa Ford. Just put in Melissa Ford service and it'll come up. And she was one of the guest master teachers in the Art and Science of Business Building. She came in and she talked about how do you build a coaching practice from a place of service. So that audio is below. Enjoy it. And I'll see you on the next video. Cheers, everyone.